Hello everybody, welcome back to Future Fiber. Glad to see you again. How are you? I'm doing really well. Thank you for asking. Before we get further into the video, I have a couple of general housekeeping things that I wanted to mention. The first thing is that the winner for the Florencia pattern giveaway that I was doing in the last podcast episode has been chosen. Go check the instructions to contact me in the community tab post, as well as the pinned comment on the last video. And the other thing is that the second episode of I Like Your Sweater podcast has gone up. This time it's with Florence from Handmade by Florence. I would appreciate it if you gave that a look. If you haven't, I think we talk about a lot of interesting things there, so that's another plug for that. And back to regularly scheduled programming. Welcome to podcast episode number 15. You might notice a couple changes in my background again. I got a better setup for how I have my sewing table. I got a shelf so that stuff isn't just like sitting out everywhere. So hopefully you don't find the background too distracting. Hopefully it's adding to the aesthetics of this studio slash office slash room where I store all my clothes. Anyway, what I was trying to say is we're in full summer knitting swing. Well, I think we're coming off of the swing, like we're like on the other side of the pendulum a little bit, where my summer knitting is kind of like winding down. As I said in the last episode, I just don't have any more yarn really that fits summer. So I'm going to be forced into go into like autumn and winter knits pretty soon, which is good, but also a little bit sad because I do like my summer knits. I just really like how they feel and wear. So I guess we'll start with what I'm wearing. The meteor strike did not happen. We have finished the Moonset tee by Ozetta. This is knit up in Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the colorway Dove Blue, and I'm very pleased with how it turned out. I would stand up to show you, but this chair makes horrible creaking sounds whenever I move too much with vigor, so I'm going to just stay seated. But yeah, I'm finished. Very happy with it. I knitted the size, I believe, small, or whatever the second size is, and I didn't make any adjustments, I think, other than knitting it in a needle size smaller because of my gauge being typically a little looser than most people. But I do think now that I've finished that I could have used the regular recommended needle size, which I believe is 3.25, and I knitted this in 3, I believe, but yeah, I think I could have gone 3.25. Because this is pretty opaque, like there's not a part of this that you can really see through. I wonder if that has something to do with my color choice, but my stitches are pretty like even and pretty tight for what I usually, compared to how my fabric usually looks. So I feel like maybe I'm not getting as much of a drape as I might have gotten if I went up a needle size, but overall I'm pretty happy with it. I think the size turned out pretty much exactly to what's in the pattern, but I almost wish I had sized up to a medium, because I think I'm thinking of how my Cumulus tee by Petite Knit fits, and that one has like more width in the shirt, and I feel like I prefer that. This one, it sits a little bit closer to my armpit, like the arm size a little bit shorter, so I do feel it touching me. Not that it's a bad thing, but I do feel a little bit more, so maybe I feel like maybe this won't be the best in like 95-degree weather, but yeah, I don't know, I like it. I think it's good. It turned out well. Might have sized up, but you know, that's like my bad for not knowing what I want when I started knitting. The neckline depth though is perfect, and I am thinking maybe if I knit another version of this, I would skip the neckline detail that makes the moonset tee and maybe do an I-cord finished edge, so that like all of the edges on the t-shirt are exactly the same, you know, because like the sleeves and the bottom of the shirt is finished in I-cord. So maybe I would do that. There was a comment that somebody left, I forget where, about the bottom of the shirt when you do the I-cord, it being very loose and flaring out. I didn't find that to be the case, but I also didn't do the I-cord bind off exactly as they recommend in the pattern. I think I took this actually from the Cumulus tee, where every like 3 or 4 stitches you do, every 3 or 4 stitches that you bind off, you do a knit together. Yeah, and that kind of like cuts down the flaring. So if you find that to be the case, maybe give that a go. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about this because I feel like it came out as pretty much as expected. And I think the color is pretty good. I'm definitely more cool toned, I'm finding, so gravitate towards a lot of blues. This is my first finished object in a little bit, so I'm pleased with it. The second one is a oh, I should just talk about what's in front of me. The second one is the Summer Secret Crop by Jessie Maed Designs. And I think I was about here-ish when I showed it in the last podcast. And then I took this to the Barbie movie, and then I knit basically the entirety of the body. So if you want to knit stockinette, go to a movie. I think it turned out pretty well. Ooh. I made some modifications to the pattern, and I stopped basically following the pattern once I got to the body here, or the top where the, you know, where your boobs are. Like, that's when I basically stopped listening to the pattern. But thinking about it, I didn't follow the pattern at all because this was also off gauge. And then the only thing that I really used it for was the starting stitch count, which was, I cast it on the number of stitches for an extra large or 2XL. So can I really say that I follow this pattern? Yeah, so some modifications I made. Yeah, first thing is I knit off gauge. This is King Cole Summer Sock 4-ply in the colorway black that I had left over from knitting my square neck camisole by Garnock Slicked. And I think I knitted up in 3.5 millimeter needles. I think I could have gone a little larger even. This isn't as like airy of a fabric as I thought it would be, but then that probably has something more to do with like the fact that this is like a cotton yarn. So cotton, nylon, polyester yarn, so it doesn't have as much drape as like silk. But yeah, in the last episode I said that I did a fold over hem where I just like folded it over and then like knit together before I like continued on to the body. And body, I didn't do any decreases or increases for the bust, which I think was the right choice. But I think having tried it on, I didn't try it on like the entire time that I was making this, and then I tried it on once I finished it, and I wish I had cast on a bigger size because this is more close fitting than I thought it would be. I thought this would have some positive ease to it. I was wrong, and that's my fault and my bad, but you know, it's still fine. So I basically knit the tube all the way up, and then once I got to the top, I split for the back and the front, and I guess I did follow what the pattern suggested for like the stitch count for the back, how many you have to cast off. Instead of casting off, I kind of like left it on the needle as I just like went back and forth for the front bit. And you can kind of tell where I did the front bit because it's rolling out in classic me fashion. And I didn't follow the decrease count rate for that's given in the pattern. And the pattern is something like, it basically like it makes this kind of shape because it's like more gradual in the beginning, and then it's supposed to like be it's supposed to be more drastic rate of cast off in the beginning, and then you're supposed to go a little bit more gradual so that you make this like this shape. You can see that this is pretty straight across. That's because I just did the same rate all the way up. Once I did that, I bound off the top section here. You can't see any of that, but yeah, I bound off the top section with a 3-stitch I-cord, and then I did the I-cord for the back and the straps. So the first thing I did is knit an I-cord that's like the length of the strap, just like not attached to anything, just like an I-cord. And then I grafted the I-cord to the starting from like here, basically the left top, and then just like, yeah, cast off all the picked up stitches, and then did the long I-cord again, and then I grafted them at the back like that. It sounds more complicated than it actually is. It was not that complicated. So this is how it turned out. I should have probably, you know, put in a taken a picture of this with me wearing it, but then I literally finished it yesterday, so I do not have anything like that. The only thing, yeah, as I would mention is that next time I do this, I will be a good person and gauge swatch, but I cast on another tank top and I didn't gauge swatch, so like don't listen to me. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I would make the body bigger. The front section where it connects, I feel like the front is too big, like where the straps start is too wide. So I would try and bring this section in a little bit, like decrease a little bit more before I cast off. But it's not to a point where it's like ugly. It looks intentional. It's just that, yeah, it's not, it like is a little bit too close to my armpit. That makes sense. And it's a little wide here. But you can't wear this with a bra, so it's like, it's whatever. I'm going to wear it with a bra because I don't care, but you know. What else? I am worried about the straps stretching out, but then I just figure I'll like thread elastic through the straps or like something like that to kind of like tighten it up. And then if I really want it to be like legit, then I could, you know, like pick the sewing where I like grafted the I-cord in the back and then like unravel it and then like regraft it onto the camisole, but it's black, so nobody's going to know what I do, you know? So yeah, that's this camisole. I think it was a good stash busting project. I have unfortunate news to share that I still have more of this black yarn left. I have this much left. So I got this tank top out of one ball of this yarn. So if you wanted to make a tank top like this and you're like approximately my size, like I would say you could definitely get a tank top out of this much yarn, 100 grams of this sock yarn. But I have this much, and then I have another like half-used ball of this left. So I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll just like use it as part of a sock, like it was intended to be, but or like in color work somewhere. It's like hard to figure out what to do with these like little tiny scraps of yarn sometimes. So yeah, that's my summer secret crop camisole. This is, I don't know if this counts, but I'm still going to mention it. I have resurrected an old project You've seen this guy before. This is my Stella top, designed by Tweedysheep. And last time you saw it, I mentioned that I knit the straps too short, and then she was very short overall. Like, I probably could have knit longer for the body, I probably could have knit longer for the straps. Overall, the garment was a little bit small vertically. So I had put this on the, at the time I was like, okay, I don't want to undo the straps because then I'll have to redo all of the I-cord bind offs around the armholes and the neckline, and I didn't want to go into that. And I also didn't want to touch this again because I just finished it and weaved in all the ends. But then I don't know what came over me. I decided that I will redo the bind off and like make the straps longer, and then I think I made it longer by 2 inches on either side, and it fits much better. Now it just barely covers my belly button, which is like a reasonable length for me to wear with high-waisted shorts or like high-waisted pants. As before, it was like very, very short. Like, it was like long line sports bra short. So it is no longer that length, and I am going to get more wear out of this. Now the big thing here is that I have to weave in all the ends again, which, as you see, I have not done so. I don't know, like with the silk, you can see that it frays a lot. Yeah, it's not very tightly spun because it's a Colourmart like silk used for like machine knitting. So it's not like the most perfect hand knitting yarn, but it does the job. And I will do it. I'll get around to it. I really like it, you know, I like the final result of this garment. So I would be happy to wear this before the summer goes away, which doesn't seem like it's dying down. So I have some more months to noodle with that guy. Now we get into work in progress. I have a couple updates. So the bucket hat I was talking about before. This is a crochet bucket hat that I started on a whim with Wool in the Gang, Shiny Happy Cotton, and this color bit is, oh, I think it's this Drops Flora? No, Flora is the wool one, isn't it? It's Drops. But I used it to knit my summer shirt by Knits for Days DK, and I had a ball left over, so I'm holding it double to do the color point. And you can tell that I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Like, what is happening here? The color switch, I don't think I'm doing it right, because you can see all the white through the the navy. That's supposed to be a triangle, but once again, my triangles are not triangling, and I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know. I'm like hoping I just keep going and it'll be fine. But another problem is I think I made this too big. Like, this looks like it's too big on my head, because the sides will come down like this. Yeah, I might need to finesse this a little bit before I make ones to give to friends, because this is not progressing as I had hoped. But it's not a big deal to unravel and redo because it's cotton yarn, and it's crochet, so it's not gonna feel like my soul is being ripped out of me when I have to frog back. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about this. If you have any tips for switching yarns with crochet, let me know. I'm so slow at it. I'm not even good with color work with knitting. I'm not really a big color work person. So I don't know what I'm doing is basically the answer here. And one other thing is that the increases for the top of the hat is kind of wobbly, and I'm not sure if this is something that'll just like block out, or if this has something to do with the way that I did the increases, like if I did just a bad job of increasing across the 5 or 6 points on the circle. It's very possible. It might be a tension issue too. I don't know. Crochet is hard, man. So hard. Every day I learn something new with crochet. That's the bucket hat project. I don't know how quickly I will get it done. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of motivation with crochet. Unless I can finish it in like a couple days, I take forever to finish it. That's why like that basket over there, that has the remains of my blanket project that I showed in my first ever podcast episode. And I've made no progress on that because it's crochet and I don't know. It's hard to motivate myself to do it. Pray for me. So the next project is a bit of a fail on my part. This is my MiuMiu Copycat Cardigan. I think last time I left off with showing you what I did for my attempting at sticking away some of the fabric that's on the front of the left front of the cardigan, and then I was working on knitting up the right front, and you can see that I'm almost done with the right front, but it's still in the needles because I ran out of yarn. So this blue yarn is a gift from Hobbii yarns. It's their friend's wool in the colorway 85 Sapphire, and I asked for 5 balls of it because I knew that I was going to use it for this project, and then I had done in my mind what I thought was like an accurate number of calculations, and I forgot that I'm just really freaking bad at math, and I saw 5, the number, and I was like, yeah, 5, that'll be 500 grams. 500 grams is totally enough for a cardigan, especially if it's being used with another yarn that is going to do the color striping. So this is Drops Nepal, and this is what I'm using to do the white eyelet rows. And then I had like 7 balls of this, and I was like, yeah, there's no way that I will use like all 7 balls of this. I'll probably end up using like 2 or 3 of this, and then I'll have 5 balls of the friend's wool. And the friend's wool has like a longer yardage per 50 grams than this guy. So I thought I was set. No, I'm just stupid. I was like 5 times 50 is 500 grams. No, girl, it's 250 grams. What the hell is wrong with you? And I had this whole like breakdown on Instagram stories being like, yo guys, I think I lost my yarn. I think I lost like 5 balls of my yarn. I can't believe like I keep losing stuff in this house. And then it took me until next morning to realize that I just like had used up all the yarn, and I just did the math wrong. It's truly a humbling experience to know that you are this stupid. Like, and it's like, I'm not like beating myself up over it. I like ordered more yarn because I do want to finish this, and I don't want to let it languish. So I ordered 5 more balls, so that should be 500 grams total. And I think that'll be enough for sure. But yeah, that was real dumb. So I was like, go, go, go. Like, after I finished that podcast episode, I was like ready to, you know, finish knitting up the rest of the front panel, and then like join it together, and then start working on the sleeves. And then I got hit with the bad math whammy. This is why education is important, everybody. Like, basic arithmetic, very key, essential. With that, I have my last kind of progress. So this Moonset t-shirt, I think in the pattern it called for 4 balls of yarn. I only used 3, so I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was that like when the samples were being knit up, they were using like 3 and like a little bit of the 4th ball, which is basically what happened to me, but I used so little of the 4th ball that I feel like I could have squeaked away with 3. So what that meant was that I had a whole ball of pure silk that I didn't know what to do with. So if you have one ball of anything, typically you have your options of a scarf and a scarf. And I didn't want to do a scarf. So I like willy-nilly just cast on another summer top, and I want this to be another type of camisole tank top kind of thing. And I put that on Instagram stories, and someone was like, girl, like you're gonna get a bralette at best with just one ball of pure silk. And I was like, girl, you're right. So she's a striped top now, and this is still you can see how unplanned all of this is, because you see how much I knit over here before I switched the colors. Yeah, I don't know, planning is not my forte. And the main reason why I also cast this on was because I said I went to go see the Barbie movie, and then I finished up this summer secret crop pretty much in the movies, and I was like, I need another stockinette project that I can mindlessly do in the theaters, because I went to go watch Oppenheimer the next day. I'm movied out for the rest of the year. I don't need to see another single dang movie. Like, I'm done. I don't need to see like anything else. I've seen the Oscar nominees basically at this point. Like, this isn't enough material for me to carry on conversation with strangers for the rest of the year. I don't need more media knowledge. I'm joking, of course, but yeah, I saw Oppenheimer, and I knew that shit was 3 hours. I was like, I need a project. So on the way to the theater, I cast this on, and then that's partially why like the bottom blue section is so long, and it's also because I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't like planning anything. I was like, oh, I'll just like keep going. And yeah, the original idea was to have the main body just be solid blue. This is the same yarn, obviously. Solid blue, and then for like the straps and like the bottom finishing, I will do this off-white color. This is the yarn, the Colourmart yarn that's left over from making the Stella top. I also made I Love Stripes scarf from Polystrict, and I also made a Cumulus top from it. And I must have bought like 250 grams of that yarn, or like maybe it was 500 grams, but I bought a lot of that yarn, I guess, because it's the gift that keeps giving. I still have this much left, and this is definitely going to be enough to help me finish this top. So this is going to be very, very small, like very short. I think I can squeak out like another repeat of the blue and then the white, and then I'll like start separating the back and the front, and then hopefully that'll be like enough where I could like, you know, shape the front a little bit, and then I'll use the white yarn to do either I-cord or double knit straps, and then I'll also use it to do the bottom. So that's the plan. She might be very, very short, but you know, like I'm like, what if I like wet block this and then just like hung it vertically? Like, you know, you're not supposed to do that, but then I like care about the vertical width, vertical length more than the horizontal width right now for this garment. And I think that'll be okay. I don't know, I measured it. This is also rolling up, so it looks a lot shorter than it is, but I measured this guy and it turned out to be about, I think we're at like 7 inches, or 7.5 ish. So if I can get like 2 more inches out, then that'll be like just enough for me to get some not worry, you know. And I can make the straps kind of extra long as well, so that it's like, I don't know, I have a vision. Whether it'll actually play out is another story. So we'll see. I mean, either way, I'll just finish it, and if it doesn't work out for me, then I'll give it to somebody I know who's shorter and it'll be fine. Yeah, it served me well for that 3-hour-long movie. It was good. I think I'm more of an Oppenheimer person than a Barbie movie person. But that's because I don't have joy in my life anymore, apparently. That's all what I've been working on. And then I'm like picking up some of my other works in progress, like here and there. Like you see the carcasses of some projects, but they're not at a point where I can really say I've made decent amount of progress. So they're just there. I have some plans of what I want to do next, but I don't really make like solid seasonal plans for my knitting, because I don't do that with clothes either. So we'll see what comes up for me in the autumn and fall months. But I do think there is, I guess I can show this. It'll be like my little acquisition. I have a real acquisition which is coming, which is like the 5 balls of Hobbii yarn that I had to order so that I can finish my cardigan. But this might be interesting for you to kind of look at. Since I know everybody, not everybody, I'm generalizing here, but I know a lot of people are really into Noro yarn. I bought this on sale during, I think it must have been like almost 2 years ago now. Like I bought this during a sale that they were having on Lovecrafts. And then this is the Noro Mirai, and then this is the color 29. And this is 40% cotton, 25% silk, 25% viscose, 10% polyamide. So like, you know, like classic Noro, just shoving all the fibers together. And this is supposed to be summer yarn from the contents, you know, but I think it's DK. Yeah, it's DK weight, because it's for 3.5 millimeter to 4 millimeter needles. I won't be knitting this in a DK gauge. I think I want to knit this kind of loose with like I might even go up to a 6 millimeter. I want this to be super flowy, and then the vision that I have for this is like a very flowy loose gauge cardigan that I can kind of throw over in like the transition weather-ish. I originally thought about doing some sort of cabling on this, but then I'm like, you're not going to be able to see any of it because of the color switches. So it's just going to be plain stockinette, I think. And I actually have a pattern in mind, but I don't think I'm going to buy the pattern, because it's a Korean pattern. It's one-sized, and it's written for a gauge that's like very different. Like the yarn is fingering weight, and then they knit it using a like 4 or 5 millimeter needles, so that it can be super loose and whatever, which is fine. Like, but then the fact that it's one size means that I don't know how it's gonna turn out in terms of like oversizedness. And I don't want to like totally swim in it. Like I want it to be big and flowy, but I don't want to like drown in my clothes. So I think I'm just gonna wing it and just like cast on however many stitches I feel like it's like an appropriate amount, and then just like do like a very boxy straight stockinette cardigan, drop shoulder. Yeah. So if you know any cardigans like that, let me know. I know an alternative is like the Friday knits. I forget what, I think it's actually called like big boxy top or something. I'll put it somewhere. But I think that's also an option. But I think the construction of that is not actually drop shoulder, even though it looks like drop shoulder. I think it's just like you knit your top in like this T shape. So like you knit the sleeves at the same time that you're knitting the body. Kind of, if you understand what I'm talking about. So I want this to be long sleeves, so I feel like that's not really an appropriate pattern for me to buy and then try and modify to be long sleeves. But yeah, anything else you know of, let me know. I might just, you know, choose a pattern that I already have, like, I don't know, April cardigan or something, and then just knit it super off gauge and then see how that goes. Because then at least I'm not like wasting, I mean, it's not wasting money if I'm supporting a pattern designer, but you know, it's like at least I'm not like spending money when I don't need to be. And I don't want anything super complicated. So yeah, so that's Noro Mirai. And oh, I didn't say how much this is. This is 100 grams and 300 meters. So there's a fair bit, and I have 3 balls of it. And I do think if I knit super off gauge, I will get a cardigan out of it. So that's my plan. Now that I'm looking at these look like they're different colors. Maybe it's because this one has like more purple streaks running through it, and this one has less of that in the outside of the ball. So I'm gonna need to see how I can color manage or whatever, but maybe I don't need to because I frankly don't care. But yeah, this is not really a color that I normally would buy. It's a little bit different. It's similar but different from the Noro Kakigori Akashi that I made my square tee out of. Because this has less purple. This runs a little bit more warm because it has some more orange flecks in it. So it's not really something that I would normally go for, but then it was on sale, and then I don't know, I must have been whacked over the head with inspiration when I first bought it. So, and I was like, this was like my first Noro purchase, so I was like really hype about it when I first found out that this was on sale. So I'm excited to use it because it's like a nice yarn, but I've been sitting on it for like 2 years, and that's part of the joy of just knitting for my stash, because I am forced to use these things and not just look at them. So that's my little yarn talk, yarn acquisition, whatever, today. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Hope everyone is staying cool and doing all of the summer knitting or whatever knitting you want to be doing. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.